Well, some undocumented immigrants will be returned to Colombia despite some back and forth between the U.S. and Colombia yesterday.
Yes, Doug Luzader is with us from Washington to kind of boil down what unfolded over the weekend. Doug, what happened since Colombia originally said it would not be accepting any incoming flights of undocumented migrants from the U.S.?
Yeah, pretty head-spinning how quickly this all took place over the weekend. These are illegal immigrants that were accused of a secondary crime. So not just crossing the border illegally, but then committing some other crime here in the country. The roundup involved a group of Colombian immigrants that were then put on military flights to go to Colombia. Colombia refused to let the planes land. And in fact, they were pretty emphatic about it. The administration, the president, very quickly responded, saying that they would levy tariffs on Colombia, and they would escalate as long as Colombia did not cooperate. Colombia initially held its ground, but then the president there decided to kind of capitulate, it sounds like. So now it looks like these individuals will be returned to Colombia, and the threat of these tariffs kind of goes away for now. But, you know, it does underscore the kind of difficulty that the administration will have with a number of countries in terms of returning some of these immigrants.
Absolutely. And today marks 1 week since President Trump has been back in office. You know, you mentioned the head spinning just in terms of that one case of working with Colombia. But there's been so much that's taken place in this 1 week. Can you kind of talk about what are next steps that we're hearing? Like, what are some things that are on the agenda for this week?
Well, so much going on. First of all, here in Washington this week, more cabinet nominees will go through the process that they hope will wind up with their confirmations. And we're talking about some controversial ones: RFK Jr. for Health and Human Services, Kash Patel for FBI, Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. We're going to hear a lot of talk about that this week. As far as the president himself, he's in Florida today for a gathering with House Republicans as they strategize and figure out exactly how they're going to lay out this legislative agenda, because they want to do a lot of things. They want to do it quickly, but they have such a narrow majority, especially in the House. They are planning to do this very carefully, but very quickly, to kind of strike while the iron's hot.
Okay, before we let you go, Doug, back to the immigration issue. We saw some activity unfold here in Chicago over the weekend. Yeah. Do we know anything yet from the administration in terms of what could happen to both cities and states who refuse to cooperate with raids by ICE, as our local mayor and governor have promised to not cooperate here with anything they say is illegal?
That's right. And what level of cooperation is legally required? And this comes down to a constitutional question of state versus federal responsibilities. The federal government cannot force state entities necessarily to cooperate in a very active basis. But if local officials are actually putting up barriers, at what point does that cross the line? I mean, these are questions the courts may ultimately have to answer.
Yeah, this is a lot to sift through. Just the beginning of a brand new week. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, Doug.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.